Hello and welcome to Foreign Dispatches, the program that takes you around the world in 25 minutes. I'm Layo Adegoke, standing in for your regular host, Teniola Shobowale. On the program this week, tensions escalate between Israel and Palestine. It is the open wound of an unresolved conflict between the Jews and Arabs that has blighted Palestinian and Israeli lives for years. Tensions are often high between Israel and Palestinians living in East Jerusalem, Gaza and the West Bank. The situation escalated since the start of the holy Muslim month of Ramadan in mid-April 2021, with nightly clashes between police and Palestinians. The threatened eviction of some Palestinian families in East Jerusalem has also caused rising anger. This latest episode happened because of tensions in Jerusalem, the sharpest part of the conflict. The holy sites in the Old City are national as well as religious symbols, and crises affecting them have often ignited violence. It's been several nights of heavy bombardment on the Gaza Strip and also in Israel. Israeli forces launching intensive raids on various locations across the besieged coastal territory. Fighter jets bombing sites belonging to Palestinian armed groups, in addition to security and police buildings. When you hear this sound in Israel, you have to take cover. Sirens blaring, warning of an incoming rocket fire. The sounds of several explosions heard just minutes after Gaza's Hamas militants said they had fired hundreds of rockets towards Tel Aviv in response to Israeli airstrikes on the Palestinian coastal enclave. Scores of people have been killed in what is said to be the heaviest offensive between Israel and Hamas since the 2014 war in Gaza. The fighting follows weeks of rising tensions stoked by violent confrontations between Israeli police and Palestinian protesters at a site in Jerusalem that is holy to both Muslims and Jews. Things have escalated quickly since the start of the holy Muslim month of Ramadan in mid-April 2021, with nightly clashes between police and Palestinians, prompting international concern that the situation could spiral out of control. Tensions are often high between Israel and Palestinians living in East Jerusalem, Gaza and the West Bank. While reacting to the violence, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the militants in the Gaza Strip will pay a very heavy price for the conflict.
Citizens of Israel, we're at the height of a weighty campaign. Operation Guardian of the Walls. The IDF attacked hundreds of Hamas and Islamic Jihad terrorist targets in the Gaza Strip. Hamas and Islamic Jihad paid, and I'm telling you here, they will pay a very heavy price for their belligerence.
In the meantime, the United Nations says it is urgently working to de-escalate tensions between Israel and the Palestinians.
The Secretary General is gravely concerned by the serious escalations in the occupied Palestinian territory and Israel, including the latest escalations in Gaza, which add to the heightened tensions and violence in occupied East Jerusalem. He is deeply saddened to learn of the increasingly large numbers of casualties, including children, from Israeli airstrikes in Gaza, and of Israeli fatalities from rockets launched from Gaza. The Secretary General's thoughts are with the families of the victims. Israeli security forces must exercise maximum restraint and calibrate their use of force. The indiscriminate launching of rockets and mortars towards Israeli population centers is unacceptable. This spiraling escalation must cease immediately. The United Nations is working with all relevant parties to de-escalate the situation urgently.
Gaza is ruled by a Palestinian militant group called Hamas, which has fought Israel many times. Israel and Egypt tightly control Gaza's borders to stop weapons getting to Hamas. Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank say they're suffering because of Israeli actions and restrictions. Israel says it is only acting to protect itself from Palestinian violence. Analysts say the latest round of violence between Israelis and Palestinians is happening because the long and unresolved conflict between the two sides has once again been left to fester. It is an open wound in the heart of the Middle East, and it is why violent face-to-face confrontations have escalated into rocket firing, airstrikes and death. Meanwhile, countries worldwide have appealed for calm after days of unrest spiraled into retaliatory attacks by Israel and Palestinians. The US, the European Union and the UK are all urging Israel and the Palestinians to lower tensions as soon as possible.
Reactions have been trailing the escalating tension between Israel and Palestine. U.S. State Department spokesman Ned Price said on Monday, May the 10th, that rocket attacks on Israel fired by Palestinian militants in Gaza were an unacceptable escalation following violent confrontations between Israelis and Palestinians in Jerusalem. Price adds that the United States is fully engaged to promote calm in Jerusalem.
The United States condemns in the strongest terms the barrage of rocket attacks fired into Israel in recent hours. This is an unacceptable escalation. While we urge de-escalation on all sides, we also recognize Israel's legitimate right to defend itself, to defend its people and its territory. It is critical for all sides to ensure calm and de-escalate tensions and avoid violent confrontations. Our message to both Israeli and Palestinian officials has been one of de-escalation, urging de-escalation, knowing that the conditions on the ground are especially volatile. Now that we're in the month of Ramadan, a confluence of events, a series of escalations.
Good afternoon, everyone.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called for the rocket attacks from Gaza against Israel should stop immediately, urging all sides to take steps to de-escalate the situation.
Needless to say, we're very focused on the situation in Israel, West Bank, Gaza. Very deeply concerned about the rocket attacks that we are seeing now that need to stop and need to stop immediately. And also, of course, concerns about the violence, provocative actions in and around the Haram al-Sharif, Temple Mount. That violence needs to cease. All sides need to de-escalate, reduce tensions, take practical steps to calm things down.
Jordanian Foreign Minister Ayman Safadi was also at the State Department lending his voice. He said the focus should be to ensure the escalation stopped, calling for a two-state solution.
Today, priority is stop the escalation, make sure that international law is respected, rights of Palestinians, rights of worshippers are upheld, status quo is preserved, and move forward towards creating that political horizon. The United States has a leading role to play. It has the leading role to play, in fact, in terms of trying to bring about the peace and stability that we all want.
Other countries worldwide have also appealed for calm after days of unrest spiraled into retaliatory attacks by Israel and Palestinians. The European Union and the UK have urged Israel and the Palestinians to lower tensions as soon as possible. In Turkey, thousands of people gathered outside the Israeli consulate in Istanbul to protest Israel's actions against Palestinians. Despite a full lockdown aimed at curbing coronavirus cases, the protesters in Istanbul, including Syrians and Palestinians, carried Palestinian flags while chanting. Arab leaders also reacted with statements of condemnation after clashes erupted in Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque between Israeli police and hundreds of Palestinians. Both the Syrian and the Saudi Foreign Ministry referred to the clashes as an unfair aggression by Israeli forces against the Palestinians.
Well, to health matters now, the World Health Organization says the coronavirus variant first identified in India last year is being classified as a variant of global concern, with some preliminary studies showing that it spreads more easily. Let's take a look at the situation in the country that is leading the world in the daily average number of new deaths reported, accounting for 1 in every 3 deaths reported worldwide each day.
Hundreds of people, desperate to secure remdesivir, a drug used for the treatment of COVID-19, crowd outside a local hospital in southern India's Chennai. Police had to hold crowds back as they clamored behind barricades, flashing medical prescription documents for remdesivir.
If this is the case, actually we are talking about a pandemic to be handled this way, I don't think so we will be getting any recovery in very soon. In fact, I feel like I'm infected now. I've come to collect from my mother a drug and I feel now I'm infected. And I don't know what to do.
India has been facing a shortage of medical supplies, especially oxygen and medicine, since a raging infectious wave hit the country. On Tuesday, the health crisis showed scant sign of easing, with a 7-day average of new cases at a record high, and international health authorities warning the country's variant of the virus poses a global concern.
In consultation with our virus evolution working group and our epi teams and our lab teams internally, there is some available information to suggest increased transmissibility of B1617. There is a preprint that is out, so this is a paper that has not undergone peer review, and it's on a limited number of patients, suggesting that there is some reduced neutralization, and as such, we are classifying this as a variant of concern at the global level.
In tackling rising cases, a makeshift hospital has been opened at Sikh Temple in Delhi to treat COVID-19 patients as the country is struggling to cope with the second wave. Majinder Singh Sesa, president of the Delhi Sikh Gurdwara Management Committee, says depending on the need, it can be expanded to accommodate 400 beds.
We got a doctor, nurses, medications, oxygen concentrators, oxygen cylinder, every kind of medicine. And this facility is linked to another hospital where in any case if somebody gets serious, he will be treated in that facility ICU. But this hospital will have every facility except ICU.
The hall, which was used for religious gatherings, has now been converted into a medical facility that is equipped with 200 oxygen concentrators, 150 cylinders and 15 ambulances. It is affiliated with a special ICU hospital for more severe cases.
Delhi government has provided entire infrastructure of doctors, nurses. They also ensured us that this will be linked to an ICU hospital, which is a big thing today. Because today you are not getting ICU beds. So any patient will be admitted here. In case in emergency, he will be immediately shifted to an ICU.
Meanwhile, as the pandemic rages on, Indian doctors find themselves warning against the use of cow dung as a cure for COVID-19. In the state of Gujarat in western India, some believers have been going to cow shelters once a week to cover their bodies in cow dung and urine in the hope it will boost their immunity against or help them recover from the coronavirus. But Dr. J. Jayala is saying there is no scientific evidence for its effectiveness and that it risks spreading other diseases.
As per the literature evidence available and the various studies conducted, and there is no scientific evidence to prove the cow dung can be used as a treatment or immunity booster against the corona infection which is prevailing. People should also understand when using an excreta of an cow, which is being considered as a sacred animal, that is bound to increase some zoonotic or infectious disease more.
And in a rather grim turn of events, residents are worried dozens of bodies washed up on the banks of the Ganges in northern India as the country struggles. More than 50 bodies have been discovered in Gama, Uttar Pradesh over the past few weeks. On Monday, at least 40 bodies were pulled from the river. How the bodies got there is unclear, but it is thought that they are COVID-19 patients. Their identities are unknown.
When Foreign Dispatches returns in just a moment, we visit some tantalizing traditional restaurants in South Africa, serving you your favorite dishes from your home country. Let's head over to Dubai now in the United Arab Emirates. Once again, Nigerians who travel to Dubai for various legitimate reasons are forced to pay the price for the diplomatic row between the two countries. A latest lingering dispute over COVID-19 flight protocols is resulting in loss of business, overstay fines, and all-round hardship for everyday citizens. In this next report, our Dubai correspondent Mayowa Adegoke captures the experiences of some Nigerian residents in the UAE.
Hundreds of Nigerians are bearing the brunt of suspended flights between Nigeria and the UAE, caused by dispute over COVID-19 flight protocols. Both governments were unable to agree amicably, putting more strain on bilateral relations, which have already been tested in recent times.
As I speak with you, under our company, we have over 67 individuals that have overstayed. And there is nothing we can do about it. You know, how do you go about chasing 67 individuals? Now, I have staff that I need to process their visas. I cannot do that. I have staff whose visas have expired and I cannot cancel because I'm outside of the country. Also, even from my own personal side, my visa has expired also. So I need to now cancel my visa, you know, through my sponsor and come in with a visit visa and get a fresh, a fresh residence visa.
Nigeria is opposed to a UAE-imposed antigens rapid test on travelers, although several other countries are required to do the same. And while Emirates Airline recently opened its portal to take Nigeria bookings from the 1st of June, the damage has already been done.
In a way, I think the government should sort this out ASAP so people can start their businesses, move on with their lives as well, because a lot of lives are on hold at the moment. People can't move around. People are stuck. You know, I've got friends who are stuck in Nigeria. For example, I know a personal friend who had to fly all the way to Ethiopia to spend 2 weeks. You know, so normally ticket will cost you about, let's say, 3,000 and some change, you know, a full-fledged ticket from UAE to Nigeria, you know, return ticket, to be honest. But my friend had to pay 7,000 dirhams to fly through Ethiopia because obviously they're taking advantage when the Emirates doesn't fly.
I have certain clients who actually come in on a regular basis for certain checkups, for certain healthcare needs, which I've already made recommendations for. Now with this, it has affected a whole lot of people. I even had clients who passed away as a result of this, not being able to fly in.
Nigeria is UAE's biggest aviation market, while the Emirates is a hub to attract foreign direct investment, which Nigeria desperately needs. One wonders why the situation lingers.
So I think the problem Nigeria and the UAE is having is dialogue, constructive dialogue, not sentimental dialogues or personal ego dialogues or whatever it is. We understand that, yes, compared to other nations, Nigeria was not supposed to be given such hard restrictions on COVID tests and antigen tests and all of that.
Both nations have interests to protect. World Expo 2020 Dubai, which was postponed due to the pandemic, is now 5 months away. Ensuring the safety of all visitors is of importance to the UAE. Nigeria, on the other hand, wishes to be given due accord. After all, it is the UAE's biggest aviation hub. For those Nigerians who now face fines for overstaying in the Emirates for no fault of theirs, perhaps both governments would consider them and reach an agreement to pardon those affected.
Finally, on the program, COVID-19 travel restrictions have kept expatriates' families out of their countries for longer than they would desire. The social disconnect has brought anxiety to many as they miss cultural gatherings, ceremonies, rituals, and many other things that connect them to their roots. However, a few restaurants specializing in serving original meals from different migrant countries have become a point of solace, comfort, and convergence for many migrants who have become homesick because of travel restrictions. Here they meet their country folks and enjoy traditional favorite dishes from their countries. Channels Television South Africa Bureau Chief Betty Dibia visited some of these eating spots in Johannesburg. Let's go join her.
Pure Grace Restaurant is one of the many food outlets in Braamfontein, Johannesburg, that have decided to deliver the taste of West African meals to those far away from home. Nigerian meals dominate the menu of this restaurant. Jollof rice, okra soup, and all the familiar goodies. Other West African nationalities are represented too, and this has become a favorite lunch stopover in this business district that also has a huge student population.
People from Zimbabwe, Nigeria themselves, Cameroon. So we a lot. We often come here and eat here. There's that taste that reminds you that you're still an African. You can still enjoy African food, no matter where it comes from, as long as it's an African food. So, yeah.
The restaurant's owner, Peter Ikebudu, says the food outlet idea was born in 2005 after he realized that many of his peers missed their home dishes.
You know, home is one thing that you can't take away from somebody. Despite wherever he is, home thing, home food, home is home. So when they step in here, I make them feel at home. And they enjoy coming here because they will feel at home. When I came in here, I found out that there is no any restaurant, home cooked restaurant around here. That was when I established this firm, Pure Grace Restaurant, 2005. It wasn't easy, but thank God we are still standing.
At 40 rand a plate, Peter sells dozens of plates per day, even to South Africans like Masindi Zandi, whose favorite is okra soup.
The taste is different. Yeah, it's nice, and whenever I'm hungry, because it makes me full. Nigerian food, it's the best.
On the other side of Johannesburg, a street in the Mayfair suburb has been turned into a little Mogadishu by Ibrahim Kao Restaurant. The founder, Ibrahim Mohammed from Somalia, first started a panel beating business and spray painting shop when he arrived in South Africa. When the shop was looted during xenophobic violence in 2015, he took 2 flasks, a cup, and went from shop to shop selling Somalia's favorite coffee, Kao. He realized that hundreds of Somali nationals living in this part of town miss their popular home coffee. His 2 flasks could not cope with the demand, so he decided to start a Kao restaurant. Today, the restaurant is fully packed frequently with Somali nationals and curious coffee lovers who are keen to enjoy the famous dark roasted Kao or coffee.
People, black people, every people in this country will come, they like my job. And they like my coffee, they like my ginger. I fix ginger tea, kawa, cake. Our cake, different cake, not a normal cake. That's us, we fixing, we'll see maybe. Us, we baking biscuit. My wife is baking biscuit. I'm selling biscuit. Sambusas, our sambusas, this sambusa is different. My sambusas fixing fish. Other one meat, other one vegetable. Many different sambusa, different small snacks.
Those from Ethiopia are not left out. Mandi Cafe and Restaurant, also in Mayfair, is one of the many eateries that have decided to serve original meals from Ethiopia. This restaurant is owned and operated by 37-year-old Selesh Sodano and his uncle. Selesh says kitfo, a meal made up of red meat mince, eaten with chilies, and the injera bread made from teff grain dominant in the highlands of Ethiopia, is the most favorite for many frequenting the restaurant.
Our people, they are suffering getting the food. To learn this pap and rice for South African food. That is the plan. He come from Ethiopian to prepare to get the spice and all the powder, everything what we need to use for food to cook in South Africa. We get it from home and then we prepare in South Africa or where we are. They used to eat this food, and then when they are small, and then up to now here they are eating it and they are happy. They used to eat in Ethiopia and then they must get it here in South Africa.
Gabriel Shiguti and his Ethiopian friends are frequent customers of this restaurant.
The South Africans also, because where we sit, because we're living with social life, they say, why are you eating a raw meat? Why it's not cooked? What they say? Come test. After they test, first day, second day, they're afraid. After they learn, every day they say, bring that food, bring that food. So, and most of them, they like this food, actually, my neighbors.
With the COVID-19 pandemic showing no intention to vanish anytime soon, these restaurants and many others like them across South Africa will for a long time remain home from home for thousands of migrants residing in the country.
Well, this is where we say goodbye till next time. Remember, our top stories are never far away. You can catch them on channelstv.com. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Adegoke. Stay safe.